If an older man has a wife but still wants something from you, what is it he's really looking for? He's charming, thoughtful, and has a way of making you feel like you're the only one in the room. And for a moment, it all feels so special. But then, a quiet truth begins to unfold. He's already married. And that's when the questions begin. If he already has everything, a partner, a life, why is he drawn to you? The answer isn't as romantic as it seems. In fact, it's not really about love, and it's not really about you either. Carl Jung once said that when a man who is already committed starts reaching for someone else, it's rarely about lust. More often, it's a signal, a reflection of something unresolved within him, something that hasn't yet healed. He isn't drawn to you because you're unusually special, and it doesn't necessarily mean he no longer loves the person he's with. It's because in you, he sees a part of himself, a piece of his identity he lost along the way, and is now, perhaps unconsciously, trying to find again. Hi, it's Vernon again. In today's video, I'll share 5 deep truths about what it really means when a married man wants you, and how to protect your peace while keeping your dignity intact. Before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe this channel for more elderly wisdom about love, emotions, and healthy boundaries after 60. So, let's start by getting honest about the very first truth, the one most people don't want to hear, but absolutely need to. 1. It's rarely about you, it's about his escape. When a married man shows interest in you, your first instinct might be to feel flattered. After all, out of everyone he could choose, he's choosing you, right? His attraction to you is rarely about your unique qualities. It's about what you represent, freedom from his current reality. Think about it this way. You exist outside his daily responsibilities, his marital tensions, his financial worries, his routine conflicts. When he talks to you, he doesn't have to discuss household budgets, parenting disagreements, or why the dishes are still in the sink. You represent an emotional vacation, a space where he can be the version of himself he remembers before life got complicated. We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars, Oscar Wilde observed. And unfortunately, some married men look to other women not as stars to guide them home, but as stars to distract them from where they already are. My old friend Marlene, who's 62, learned this lesson painfully. She met a married colleague at a work conference who seemed genuinely captivated by her intelligence and humor. For months, he would call her, share his thoughts, tell her how refreshing their conversations were. "Vernon," she told me later, "I thought he was falling for who I was, but I realize now he wasn't looking for love. He was looking for relief." When his marriage improved after counseling, his interest in Marlene disappeared almost overnight. She hadn't become less intelligent or less funny, but she had become less necessary as an escape route. This is why I always tell women, if a married man is drawn to you, ask yourself, is he drawn to your complexity or your simplicity? Is he interested in your full life or just the parts that don't require commitment? Understanding this psychological truth protects you from taking his attention personally. It's not that you aren't wonderful. It's that he's using your wonderfulness as a bandage for wounds he should be addressing at home. Let me ask you in the comments, have you ever felt like someone was seeking you out, not because they loved you, but because they were running from something else? I'd love to hear your thoughts. But sometimes, what feels like escape is also a test, to see how far you'll let it go.
2. He's testing emotional availability, not love. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change, Carl Rogers taught us. But when a married man pursues you, he's often doing the opposite. He's rejecting who he is in his marriage and testing whether you'll help him avoid the work of acceptance and change. He's not trying to fall in love with you. He's trying to see if you'll fall for him. This is about power, validation, and emotional availability, not genuine connection. He wants to know, will you respond to his charm? Will you make time for his calls? Will you prioritize his emotional needs even though he can't prioritize yours? It's a psychological test that reveals more about your boundaries than his feelings. Every time you respond warmly to his attention, you're unknowingly participating in an experiment about how available you are emotionally, and how much of yourself you're willing to give to someone who fundamentally cannot give back. The most telling sign of this dynamic is how he frames your connection. Does he talk about what you two might build together in the future? Or does he focus on how good you make him feel right now, in this moment, separate from the rest of his life? A man genuinely falling in love talks about integration, how you might fit into his world, meet his family, share his life. A man testing emotional availability talks about compartmentalization, how special and separate and secret your connection is. He might say things like, "You're so different from anyone I know. I've never felt this way before. You understand me in ways others don't." These sound romantic, but they're actually testing phrases. He's measuring your response, seeing if you'll take the bait of feeling special and chosen. The psychology behind this behavior often stems from his own unmet emotional needs within his marriage. Rather than doing the difficult work of addressing those needs directly with his spouse, he's outsourcing his emotional validation to you. This is why sharing this video with your friends or women's groups is so important. We need to recognize these patterns and protect each other from becoming temporary solutions to permanent problems. But here's the crucial insight. If he doesn't respond the way he hopes, if you maintain appropriate boundaries or show that you're not easily impressed, his interest will often fade quickly. This reveals that his pursuit was never about loving you. It was about testing you. If he keeps showing up, his attention often hides something even more complicated.
3. He's confused between affection and validation. One of the most psychologically complex aspects of a married man's pursuit is that he often genuinely believes his own feelings. He's not necessarily being manipulative or deceptive. He's confused about what he's actually seeking. In his mind, he might think, "I have real feelings for this woman. This could be love." But what he's actually experiencing is something much more basic, the intoxicating rush of being desired and validated by someone new. When we're in long-term relationships, we often take for granted how our partner sees us. The compliments become routine. The appreciation becomes assumed. The daily intimacy of marriage, both emotional and physical, can feel predictable rather than passionate. Then along comes someone who sees him with fresh eyes. Someone who laughs at his jokes like she's never heard anything funnier. Someone who finds his stories fascinating, his opinions insightful, his attention valuable. This isn't love, it's the drug of validation, and like any drug, it creates a craving for more. What he doesn't realize is that this feeling has very little to do with you as a person, and everything to do with his own hunger for recognition, appreciation, and feeling desirable again. You could be almost anyone, as long as you provided that fresh perspective and enthusiastic response. The confusion deepens because validation can feel very much like love, especially if he's been feeling unappreciated in his marriage. The neurochemical responses are similar. The elevated heart rate, the anticipation of seeing you, the preoccupation with your thoughts and feelings. But here's the difference. Love seeks to know and serve the other person completely. Validation seeks to be known and served by the other person completely. If his feelings were truly about love, he would be deeply concerned about your well-being, your future, your emotional security. He would be troubled by the impossible position he's putting you in. He would be actively working to resolve his marriage situation one way or another so that he could pursue you honorably. If his feelings are about validation, he'll be primarily focused on how you respond to him, how you make him feel, what you give him emotionally. Your actual needs and circumstances will be secondary to his emotional consumption. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, Carl Jung reminded us. But a married man seeking validation through you is trying to become who he wishes he still was, rather than growing into who he could actually become. And when validation replaces love, no connection can survive, because it's built on emptiness, not truth.
4. If you respond, the power shifts instantly. Here's where the psychology becomes particularly important for you to understand. The moment you begin responding emotionally to a married man's attention, the entire dynamic changes, and not in your favor. Power is not revealed by striking hard or often, but by striking true, Honoré de Balzac observed. And the most powerful thing you can understand about this situation is that your response, or lack thereof, determines everything that follows. When you start returning his calls, looking forward to his messages, sharing personal details about your life, or worse, when you start developing genuine feelings for him, you've handed him something precious, your emotional investment. And he hasn't given you anything of equal value in return. Think about what he can offer you versus what you can offer him. He can give you stolen moments, secret conversations, the thrill of feeling special and chosen. But you can give him your full attention, your genuine care, your emotional energy without any of the complications of his married life. My elderly neighbor, Dillis, who's been observing human nature for 78 years, once told me something profound.
Vernon, the moment you respond emotionally to someone who can't respond equally, he stops respecting the boundary and starts expecting the exception. This is exactly what happens. Your warm response signals to him that you're available for a partial relationship, that you'll accept whatever level of attention and commitment he can spare, that you're willing to work around his limitations rather than requiring him to address them. And once he knows you'll accept less than you deserve, he begins offering even less than he initially gave. The psychology behind this isn't malicious, it's human nature. When someone demonstrates that they'll accept limited availability, inconsistent communication, and emotional crumbs, we unconsciously begin to value their time and emotions less highly. This is why women often notice that a married man's pursuit intensifies when they're unavailable, but cools when they become responsive. It's not a game. It's a psychological reality about how attraction and respect operate in complex situations. The power dynamic also shifts because you begin hoping and waiting. Hoping he'll leave his marriage. Hoping he'll choose you. Hoping the situation will resolve itself somehow. Meanwhile, he continues living his full life. Marriage, home, social connections, while you live in the margins of his world. This is why understanding male psychology after 60 is so crucial. Patterns that seemed romantic in our youth reveal themselves as emotionally manipulative when we have the wisdom to see them clearly. And yet the most powerful move you can make isn't confrontation, it's clarity.
Your silence and distance reveal his true intentions. In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer, Albert Camus wrote. And sometimes the most invincible thing you can do when a married man wants you is simply nothing. Your silence and distance become the ultimate truth serum. They reveal whether his interest was genuine care or simply ego gratification. They show whether he respects boundaries or only pursues what seems available. Here's what happens when you don't respond to a married man's attention. If his feelings were genuine and his intentions honorable, he will respect your boundary completely. He might feel disappointed, but he won't pressure, manipulate, or try to convince you to change your mind. He'll recognize that your unavailability is actually a sign of your wisdom and self-respect. If his pursuit was about validation, testing, or emotional escape, your distance will frustrate him. He might increase his efforts temporarily, trying different approaches to get your attention. He might become more aggressive in his pursuit, or conversely, he might disappear entirely, proving that his interest was conditional on your responsiveness. If his attraction was primarily about the thrill of pursuit, your lack of engagement removes the excitement entirely. There's no challenge, no conquest, no validation to be won. Men in this category often move on to other targets almost immediately. This is why I always tell women, your non-participation is not cruel. It's clarifying. You're not punishing him, you're revealing his true motivations. You're not missing an opportunity for love, you're avoiding an opportunity for heartbreak. The most emotionally intelligent response to a married man's interest is to maintain kind but absolute distance. No special phone calls, no private meetings, no intimate conversations about his marriage problems or your personal life. Pleasant but formal interaction if you must interact at all. Your emotional unavailability forces him to confront what he's actually seeking. If it was genuine connection, he'll address his marriage situation properly before pursuing anyone else. If it was validation or escape, he'll find another source. I encourage you to save this video to watch again whenever you feel tempted to engage with someone who cannot fully engage with you. These reminders can protect your emotional energy and preserve your self-respect. The most profound truth about this entire dynamic is that your worth isn't determined by his desire. Your value doesn't increase because a married man wants you, and it doesn't decrease because you don't want him back. So there you have it, beautiful souls, the 5 deeper truths about what it really means when a married man wants you. You now understand that his interest is usually about his escape, his testing, his need for validation, the power dynamics at play, and how your response reveals everything. When a married man wants you, it's not your compliment, it's your test. The choice isn't about him, it's about your peace, your power, and your self-respect. The situation isn't really asking you to choose between him and his wife, it's asking you to choose between temporary excitement and lasting dignity, between being someone's secret and being someone's priority, between accepting emotional crumbs and requiring the full feast of authentic love. The strongest people are not those who show strength in front of us, but those who win battles we know nothing about, Maya Angelou taught us. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is win the battle against settling for less than you deserve, even when that less is beautifully packaged and delivered by someone charming. Tell me honestly in the comments, have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone's interest in you felt more like they were running from something than running to you? Your stories help other women recognize these patterns. Like this video, subscribe to this channel for more relationship clarity, and share this with your friends, because every woman deserves to understand the difference between being wanted and being valued. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching till now, and see you in the next video.